Good evening, my fellow Americans. This is your President Samuel Ronan speaking, and today is Recap Thursdays, the day where we recap all the nonsense that has happened over the week and covering the things that we may have missed or things that have just come out of the blue, because of course it freaking does. So, with that being said, we stream every day 7 to 10. Well, not every day, I'm sorry. Tuesdays through Thursdays, right down here. 7 to 10 Eastern, and on Tuesdays we cover domestic affairs. We are calling it Taco Tuesdays because most of the shit that happens in America is thanks to this regime. And then we have Worldwide Wednesdays where we talk about foreign events, which seems to be a mix of war, genocide, war crimes, human rights violations, and pushing the bounds of creating a sci-fi apocalyptic future, which leads us today, which is Recap Thursdays, in which we, unfortunately, probably cover the stuff that happened in the past 24 to 48 hours that is brand spanking new, because of course we live in historic times every single day. So, we will jump right into that. We do have plenty to go over. Good evening, Anna Ladiosa. Yeah, let's dive into this thing. We are going to go ahead and just start with Democracy Now!
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org.
They like to do the big headlines for this week, and gives us a good, segue into the rest of the stream today.
Peace Report, I'm Amy Goodman. Israeli forces moved deeper into Gaza City Wednesday as Israeli leaders dismissed a statement from Hamas that the group is willing to release its remaining hostages in exchange for an end to Israel's assault.
So, right off the rip, 17 seconds into it, Israel has dismissed Hamas, claiming that they are more than happy to release all the hostages and do everything that Israel is demanding so long as Israel stops the war. Meanwhile, Israel and the West continuously say that Hamas is the ones that are arguing in good faith and acting in good faith. That they are the ones that are causing the negotiations to break down, but it is always, repeatedly, Israel. Looks like I was trying to do some, what's the word I'm looking for? I was trying to, hold on, that's not what that was. I was trying to separate to these new screens, for the rebel side. And the red needed to be a background for these so it could actually be seen. But evidently, it is now showing up on these as well. So, I don't know what that's all about. It seems like it doesn't want to change either. So, maybe I can... Is that going to... Oh, okay, there we go. Figured it out. There's our... son of a bitch. Because it's still linked. You know, one of these days, I will just be ready to stream, and it won't be a problem, I promise. So let's try that, and then unlink the source. Alright, now are we good? No, because these are apparently still linked. Why? Why can you not just stay? Alright. Well, anyways, spoiler. What the hell? I just undid this. I literally just fixed this, I thought. How do you unlink this stuff? You know, why does this always do this to me? Every single time. Get rid of the linked. Is this linked? Alright. Let's try this again, I guess. Oh. And now it just disappeared? Okay, well that was weird. All right, let's try this. Even Hassan has tech issues. True, I guess. Maybe I really do need to switch to OBS because we're only streaming from one channel now. I don't need to be on XSplit. And XSplit has been doing nothing but giving me problems. I swear to Christ. Maybe I will. This weekend I'll play around with it. Anyway, getting distracted from the main point here, which is to say that Israel is consistently the root of this conflict and the negotiations breaking down. Israel is the reason why the genocide continues. Israel is the reason why the conflict continues. Israel is the reason why the slaughter continues. Israel is the one that refuses to negotiate in good faith, and it is Israel that refuses to accept the conditions that Israel has set forth in the first place. So let me be clear, read my lips. Israel is the guilty party in this entire fiasco, this war, this conflict, and yes, this genocide. And nothing is going to change that. Absolutely fucking nothing. Short of the West and America forcing the hands. Full of lots of vitamin K. I don't understand that reference. What's up with this Barry Weiss scandal? I don't know. This is the first I'm hearing of it. So that doesn't mean much. Barry Weiss. Who is that? Is an American journalist? Yeah, I have no idea. Do we have a... Oh, she's a Zionist. Oh! Well, how is that even a scandal then? Because in America, we do nothing but back the Zionists with everything in our power. So, yeah, that's kind of weird. That is really weird that a Zionist would somehow cause a scandal. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. If there's a video on it and you want to cover it, we can. I'm sure we'll have the time. Oh, Anna Banana. I see. I need to brush up on my food jokes.
This comes as Palestinian health officials report Israeli forces have killed at least 84 people and wounded 338 others over the past 24 hours.
You know, it's really hard to bounce back and forth with the bipolar, like, rage from hearing what's on the video and then trying to banter with chat and trying to be a streamer and all that. It's really hard because you go from and then Israel murdered 84 people and injured 300 in the past 24 hours. Okay? Israel continues to kill scores of people and injuring hundreds just about every 24-hour period, every single day. Now, I know that Americans don't care about brown people. I know that. I'm well aware. I know that most news organizations do not give a shit about what's happening in Palestine and Israel, and that they are going to report on behalf of Israel's propaganda regardless. I'm aware of that. But what does it say about people in general that they can hear these statistics and be swayed by the propaganda that lets them hear these numbers, 84 killed, 300 wounded, and just be like, oh, dang, that sucks, and then move right along as if nothing happened? But if those numbers were in the Ukraine, all of a sudden, that would be global front page news. Everybody would be talking about it, and even Karen and her friends over brunch would be like, oh my God, did you hear about the Ukrainians? Russia killed 84 people and injured 300 more. If this was happening in the Ukraine, and it's not, but if it were, but it isn't, but on the off chance that it finally happens, but it won't, that would make probably front page news 24/7 coverage. But it's happening every single fucking day in Palestine, and the only people that are even willing to cover it are Al Jazeera, which still covers it from the lens of the Israeli propaganda, and Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman.
Gaza City, Palestinians mourn their loved ones killed in Israeli airstrikes.
He was martyred. He was hit by a strike inside his room. They killed him with his wife and children. They erased them all. No one is left for me. Yesterday he was with me. He told me, I have your back. I will not leave you. Whatever happens to you, happens to me. But no, he's gone and left me alone. To whom are you leaving me, my brother Mohammed? To whom are you leaving me?
In Israel, far-right Minister Bezalel Smotrich on Wednesday proposed annexing 82% of the occupied West Bank. The plan would effectively end prospects for a future Palestinian state. In response to the United Arab Emirates said any efforts to annex the West Bank would cross a red line that could unravel the Abraham Accords that normalize relations between Israel and some Arab nations.
I don't understand how we can continue. I mean, we have been covering Palestine. Didn't we started streaming back in 2023, didn't we? Like, we were streaming, were we not? Or did we just start streaming in 2024? It might have been 2024, actually, now that I'm... No, because I was still at my previous residence in Ohio. That was before... Or maybe I was just doing... Okay, maybe I was only doing videos at my old house. I managed to buy a house right before the pandemic hit, and then... Anyway... 2024 then yeah. So we've been covering Israel and Palestine since pretty much the beginning. I mean, I've been covering it since the beginning regardless, through videos. As soon as October 7th hit, I was on the side of Palestine, right? Because the response did not make any sense, and neither did the attack itself. So I've been on the side of Palestine since the very beginning. I might have been ignorant to how far back it went. I freely admit that. But we've been covering this for going on 2 years now. Going on 2 years. And every time we cover this, it is worse. Every single day. To include from literally yesterday. Today is already officially worse. Because not only was there a significant death toll and a significant... injury toll, if you will. Now we have reports of the Prime Minister saying, oh yeah, we're going to absolutely annex 82% of the West Bank or the remaining occupied Palestinian lands. And it's like, you hear these, we are covering it, we are listening and sharing it with all of you. And yet I don't know that this has even made the news in America. Did this even make it into Fox or MSNBC or CBS? I mean, has this made it even to CNN? Like, these are the things that are happening in Israel and Palestine that completely make it so... It is as obvious as this is a prop. Or as me saying that this is a prop, all right? Or as real as this cigar, okay? We're Israel, and we're going to annex what's remaining of Palestine. Because we don't want to end the war. Because we don't want to stop committing Like, I don't know how people could possibly see or hear or read these reports and think that Israel is still somehow fighting in self-defense, acting lawfully, trying to act within the best interests of Palestinians and Israelis. Like, they are saying the quiet part out loud now. They're not even attempting to hide it. We are going to annex the remainder of Palestine. We are going to displace the remaining Palestinians. We are looking at plans to remove them by paying them to leave. And in the meantime, we are going to continue to airstrike people in their homes, murder them with impunity, target reporters, target medical centers, and continue to starve them to death. All of which is actively being said out loud. They are actively saying that starvation is a tool that we are using against Palestinians, against Hamas. And so many Western news networks, and apparently even Al Jazeera, are not pushing back nearly hard enough, if at all. And I am fearful for the day where we show up on stream on a Wednesday or an emergency stream on a Monday or a Sunday or a Saturday, and I have to let everyone know that Palestinians are dead, that the genocide has been finished, that the final solution implemented by Israel against Palestine has come to fruition. Like, that worries me. That, like, all of the, like, I could put this away, take off the hat, just hide all of these backgrounds once I find out which one of these it was. Right? None of this, all this bullshit, right? All of this bullshit aside, just me in the chair. This is what it feels like when I'm talking about Palestine literally being erased from the face of the earth by Israel while the world does nothing. This is what it feels like. Like I am in the void, screaming into the void, pulling out my hair, screaming myself hoarse and ragged, because people just do not seem to fucking care that this is happening. And the reality is that this is the most preventable atrocity, tragedy in all of human history. The Holocaust could have been prevented, sure, if Germans would have just not supported Hitler and the Nazis. Fine. But they actually had the benefit of the doubt if they didn't know. But now the world does know. We learn about it every single year. Every generation has learned about the Holocaust, about the Nazis, about the concentration camps, about the propaganda. And we are seeing it live streamed in 4K across every social media platform, that Palestinians are being starved to death and that Israel is claiming it, that they are bragging about it, that they are murdering the men, the women, the children, the elderly, and bragging about it and stating unequivocally that is the goal. The goal is to murder every single man, woman, and child in Palestine. And that if they could kill the Palestinians that lived abroad, they would do that too. And yet the narrative is Israel has the right to defend itself. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Hamas is guilty for the attacks. They should just surrender and give up. They are trying to give up. They are trying to surrender. They are offering all of the hostages to disband, to dismantle themselves. They are offering everything. And Israel is not satisfied, because if Hamas capitulates and if Israel accepts, Israel no longer has the means to slaughter and erase the Palestinians from earth. And that is what we are dealing with. That is what we are facing. And that is exactly what we must overcome. And we cannot do it with simply protesting, not in the numbers that we have. We need to be active. I don't care if it's this kind of active. I don't care if it's with, the better protesting stuff. I don't care if it's this level of activism. Right? Does this even still fit me? Ooh, very unlikely. I doubt it. Ooh, that is a tight fit. Oh, shit. It still does fit me a little bit. Ooh, that's tight, though. Good grief. All right. I don't care. Actually, this looks really good. Holy shit, I might do this more often now. I literally don't care if we are on the side of Palestinians against Israel. Wow, this actually... I might have to do this more often. This is my point, though. This uniform, right? United States Air Force is supposed to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And our active duty mission globally is to put down terrorists, to put down crimes against humanity, to promote democracy in the Western way, the American dream, right? Where is genocide in any of that? Where is genocide in any of that? That's what I'd like to know. So whether it's this, whether it's this, whether it's just this, or even if it's just going and protesting, we need significantly more. We need more to be done about Israel committing genocide against Palestinians. Something has to give. Because this ain't it. It just fucking ain't. And I don't need props. I don't need costumes. I don't need any of that. What I need is for all of you who are watching and who will be watching to understand that we are living through the modern Holocaust. And that Israel, with Trump's America, is the modern day Nazis. And if you are doing nothing but listening and hearing and nodding along with what the news says about Israel and Trump's actions against Palestinians, against Latinos, against transgender people, if you are just nodding along and be like, yeah, no, I think he's got a point, then guess what, motherfucker? I got news for you. You are a good German and a fucking Nazi. So, just to bring that point as home, as hard, as direct as I could, without any of this bullshit, without any of the streaming, with just me and you speaking, this is what is at stake. All joking, all levity, all trying to be a cool, fancy streamer, all of the shenanigans aside. There is far more at stake than simply the lives that are lost. It is about the fact that we stood idly by and did nothing. It is the simple fact that we are losing the moral and empathy mission of our generation. That we are failing as a species, as a race. The soul of humanity is literally being starved to death before our very eyes because we are doing nothing about it. Sorry about that, chat. I did take you off. I wanted to make a point. I wanted to make a point that even with public figures like Francesca Albanese, even like public figures like Greta Thunberg and maybe a few politicians here and there that are, raising their fist and maybe even doing something about it. For the rest of us, for the rest of humanity that stands on the side of Palestinians, it feels like a void. And that the message to condemn Israel doesn't need any accoutrement or any fluff or any pizzazz to go along with it. The words themselves, the actions themselves, the need to act and be seen and to be heard is enough. So, I do apologize. We've reached the near intermission part of Fiddler on the Roof. Right. If any of you haven't seen it, no matter the movie or musical, check it out. What's going on is like that. He's going to throw his Medicare for All hat off and not take any. I mean, I did. I literally did. You called that. I'm not going to go bald, thank God, because that's the one thing I can't afford is my hairline. I've never seen you turn your background completely black going dark. Yeah. Now I look like I took over Iraq. Yeah, actually, all of it, putting on my uniform, old uniform, I'm not active duty or even reserves anymore, kind of slapped. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm not in Rex. My hair is touching my ears. I'm not clean shaven. Like, there's a master sergeant out there saying, "I will smoke your ass, Sergeant Ronan." But I earned them stripes. So, speaking of which, J.D. Vance was a Marine and enlisted, and I think he was also an NCO. We're the same fucking rank, motherfucker, but I'm not a piece of shit. And I am also a millennial from Ohio. So I think if we're going to play the dick measuring contest of who's the best veteran, from Ohio, who was also an NCO, let's fucking go. I will take you on every single goddamn day of the week and twice on Sunday. And I will curb stomp you metaphorically and physically. Saddam wore a beret too. Interesting. Interesting how revolutionaries tend to wear berets. I don't even like wearing hats. I don't like wearing this, to be honest, because it keeps fucking up my hair. But, you know, if the beret fits... right, if they genocide them all, then they'll have nobody left. What are they going to do? Take their genes, clone them, and then wipe them out again? It wouldn't surprise me if Israel would do such a thing. Because remember, part of the Nazi agenda was to enslave the Jews and turn them into a slave workforce. So that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. We're living in the 21st century of ignoring there is a present Holocaust. Yes, that is disturbing. When you took your White House away, it was like when the fire burned the White House in the 1800s and you restored it like they did back then. From the darkness, right? From dust to dust. He had the audacity to make fun of Pritzker's weight when he pushed back on sending guards into his neck in the woods. Yeah, it's, yeah. And, like, I'm not saying just because I'm going to the gym and getting a little healthier, because I'm definitely, I mean, I still got a bit of a little belly going on, right? Like, there's some jiggle there. Like, I'm not saying all that, but I am saying I will take him on in any circumstance with any or no training or notice. Like, these hands are rated JD. So, I had Anna at Jiggle. Yeah. Well, Latinas apparently like them a little thick. Because when they're a little thick, they apparently don't cheat or, you know, stuff like that. So, in her mind, a revolutionary with a little jiggle isn't going to betray the people. So I can fuck with that.
Meanwhile, the Washington Post is reporting a post-war plan for Gaza circulating within the Trump administration would relocate the enclave's 2 million residents. Gaza would essentially be turned into a trusteeship run by the United States for at least a decade, where Palestinians who own land will be offered a digital token in exchange for rights to redevelop their property. Palestinians could redeem the token to move outside the Strip or into an apartment in one of the new cities to be created under the plan. The proposal was reportedly developed by some of the same Israelis who created the shadowy Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, with contributions from the Boston Consulting Group. Scotland's top official announced Wednesday his government's paused funding to weapons manufacturers that sell arms to Israel, as he ordered the Palestinian flag to be raised above Scottish government buildings. First Minister John Swinney made the announcement as members of the Scottish Parliament voted 65-24 to recognize the state of Palestine, urging the UK government to follow
Well, that's
suit.
about fucking time.
In the face of genocide, there can be no business as usual. We will pause new awards of public money to arms companies whose products or services are provided to countries where there is plausible evidence of genocide being committed by that country. That will include Israel.
On Capitol Hill, 2 U.S. military veterans were removed from a Senate hearing Wednesday after they accused committee members of complicity in genocide in Gaza. Former Army intelligence officer Josephine Guilbeault was led away in handcuffs alongside retired Green Beret Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilar. He worked as a security contractor for the militarized U.S. and Israeli-backed so-called Gaza Humanitarian Foundation before blowing the whistle on the group's deadly attacks on Palestinian civilians seeking food.
And see, that's why I don't mind wearing my uniform still. And that's why I'm not embarrassed to call myself a United States Air Force veteran. Because, quite frankly, the vets that are stepping up and standing out and speaking out are the exact men and women that I did want to serve with, that I was proud to serve with, that inspired me to serve in the military in the first place. It is those individuals who we should aspire to be like. Those are the ones that our service members should aspire to be like. Those are the men and women who truly believed in the oaths that they swore when they became enlisted or officers. Which is why I have no qualms wearing my uniform. That being said, those pieces of garbage who are blindly obeying the orders of this regime, well, following orders wasn't a defense in the past, and it won't be during my time in office either. So, with every arrest, with every charge, with everything that is done against the veterans who are speaking up and speaking out against this regime and against the atrocities being committed in our nation's name, they will be exonerated. They will be vindicated. I will pardon them. I will do everything in my power to elevate them and reward them and give them accolades for their contributions to society because they are well earned and well deserved. And we should pay close attention to the fact that it is veterans that are standing up, that are speaking out, and that are still being treated like terrorists, like threats, like the others that are being targeted by this regime. What I am hoping happens is that more veterans step up and speak out and band together and unite and have actions, be they, protests, be they news interviews, be they whatever, crashing town halls. Because America still loves and values and respects its military. Mostly the service members in that regard, but nevertheless. And if we can lead from the front and galvanize the actions that'll encourage the citizenry to take, then I think we should. We should absolutely be leading from the front. It's just a question of, can we get enough numbers to do it before martial law is upon us? Right, yeah, the digital token thing. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, I do believe. It was in that Washington Post article that I did not believe was true, but it was. Yeah, it's basically an NFT. It's basically a Bitcoin. It's basically a digital token that says that if you sell your stuff now and leave, in 10 years, we promise to give you your land back. Or a home that's on the land where your home was. Right, words are an arrestable offense. No First Amendment. And it's ironic arresting a veteran for exercising their First Amendment rights. Meanwhile, this douche in command doesn't get arrested for enjoying a golf ball hitting the back of his opponent's head. You say Red Overlord is a good guy, the country is awesome, or you will lose all of what makes you you. Exactly. If they'd all joined them that got arrested, they'll be too overwhelmed to can't make arrests. That's exactly the point that I was trying to make. Land return promise can only be trusted. Right. And that's the point, right? Like, these are all baits and switches. These are all just means to try and distract from the horrors that are actually being committed. All right, so we're still trucking along.
Are being arrested right now for interrupting a foreign affairs hearing on nominations because the U.S. is complicit in genocide. They are complicit in the slaughter of babies.
When the United States Congress comes after veterans, they will come after you. Every American sitting at home right now needs to realize that you are paying for a genocide.
To see our interview with Anthony Aguilar, go to...
Yeah, I couldn't tell which one was the lieutenant colonel. But let me put this to you into perspective. All of us that are watching, regular workers, are enlisted. If you're a supervisor, you're basically an NCO. And if you're like the lowest tier of management, you're probably a senior NCO. Plant managers are about where command level officers begin, right? So operations managers that are in charge of managers, right? Managers are in charge of departments, or sections or whatever else. Their bosses is where the officer corps begins, okay? And usually a commander is between a captain and a major, although in some cases it might be a lieutenant. Once you get into the major rank, you can be in charge of whole facilities. In the Air Force, they're called squadrons. In the Army, I believe they're called companies. I do not know what they are in the Navy or the Marines, because they're the same thing. I don't actually know. I'm surprised. I thought I did, but I don't. Shame. Either way, commanders are usually in charge of hundreds of people. And then a lieutenant colonel, not often, not always, but can be in charge of yet even more. Think regional manager type stuff. Think like almost state levels worth of leadership. They can be what's called in the Air Force a group commander, and I think in the Army it would be like brigade. Now, full bird colonels tend to be group/swing/base commanders in the Air Force, and full bird colonels are in the Army brigade? Camp? Forts? I don't know. I actually don't know what it is in the Army either. I was in the Air Force, so I don't have to know what it was in the Army. Point being, if you're in charge of the whole thing, you're talking like the equivalent level of authority as a mayor, essentially, right? Because every base has thousands of personnel, right? Thousands of personnel. And each wing consists of the entire conglomerate of workers and specialists and whatever else in that given function, right? And it's usually like the medical wing, the transportation wing, the maintenance wing, right? Or transportation, whatever the case may be, the fighter wing, etc. And when you're a base commander, you're in charge of thousands of people. In most cities, most towns are thousands of people. So this commander, full bird to usually 1-star general at most, are going to be in charge of these entire things. Now, there are huge bases and there are small bases. Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany has tens of thousands of personnel, and they're all military and civilian workers working under the military DoD, right? So when I say a lieutenant colonel is a big fucking deal in the military, that they have authority and that they have a lot of experience to back that up, and a lot of like earned and legitimate authority given to them within their role and within their rank, especially. Not many people actually get to lieutenant colonel. Like you can reasonably make it to major in the military. If you get into the officer corps at all, there's a reasonable chance you can make it to a major, but it is not a guarantee that you can get promoted to lieutenant colonel. Right? So you cannot be guaranteed lieutenant colonel. Granted, you can't be guaranteed major either, but that's pretty much where most officers end up in their career, especially if they were prior enlisted. So lieutenant colonel is already hard to get, and then from there, full bird colonel is ridiculously hard to get, and then you're talking about general staff, which is, again, we're talking CEOs, like Fortune 500 level, equivalent to how rare and how powerful and influential those individuals are, okay? So when a lieutenant colonel goes to one of these meetings and says, with authority, with their own personal military experience, and says, we are committing genocide, our tax dollars are aiding and abetting genocide, and what we are doing is wrong and not what I signed up for, you can take that to the bank. And it is significant. The unfortunate problem is that we have too many movies, too many TV shows where terms like colonel and general are thrown around intermittently or interchangeably, and we think, oh, well, if you're not a general, you're not important. Wrong. It starts at about lieutenant colonel. At about lieutenant colonel, you're somebody that should be listened to on a regular basis. So, the significance of that is there. It is very significant that a lieutenant colonel went there and basically crashed this hearing trying to whistleblow. And the fact that they arrested a lieutenant colonel is also massively significant. It would literally be the equivalent of the CEO, right? That would be your full bird colonel to general staff, right? So like Bezos, I hate to say this, but in military terms, he's like a 4-star general in the world, right? He's very powerful, very influential, and over a massive area of industry, right? So he's a big guy. him being arrested would be just internet breaking, right? News breaking. That would be the only thing that would be on the news, right? Below him would be like, well, his board, right? That's your 3-star, so on and so on. So think about like the regional manager of Amazon warehouses and distribution centers of a state, because of how massive Amazon is. That is a lieutenant colonel. All right? And we don't stand capitalism. We don't stand corporations. Fuck them, right? But people broadly, regular normies, right, who aren't political junkies like us, would see a regional manager and be like, oh my God, they're a regional manager. Or like a hospital director, right? Like or the dean of a prestigious college, right? These are your lieutenant colonels to full bird colonels level of prominence. Imagine the dean of OSU getting arrested because they protested. Imagine the regional manager of your company getting arrested for protesting and calling out the company's heinous atrocities against the workforce. Okay? That is what I just witnessed. I just witnessed a group commander get arrested for whistleblowing about crimes against humanity, which is in, violating the Article 93, which has to do with following lawful orders, right? We are not following lawful orders if those orders contribute to genocide, right? That's how that works, right? That's the legality of it all. So I just saw a group commander, not a wing commander, but a group commander get arrested for doing their job. And that is I cannot stress enough how absolutely batshit insane that is. So, I hope that cleared it up. I don't know. I saw that chat wasn't chatting, so I hope that was clear as mud.
democracynow.org. Senior Democratic leaders are asking the Trump administration to reveal details about who exactly is funding the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. In a letter to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee, and Office of Management Budget Director Russ Vought, Senators Elizabeth Warren, Chris Van Hollen, and Peter Welch write, quote, the State Department should immediately cease funding GHF and transfer or restore funding to experienced aid organizations, given the strong and growing evidence that GHF is failing to accomplish its humanitarian mission, unquote. According to the United Nations, nearly 1,000 Palestinians have died near GHF sites since the group started operations.
Even Amy Goodman can't say murdered. That's what kills me. 1,000 Palestinians have not miraculously and arbitrarily died near these sites. They didn't just be like, oh, we all collectively, 1,000 of us had a heart attack. That's not how that works. Oh, they had a severe allergic reaction near these sites because we didn't check for allergens. That's not what's happening. 1,000 people were murdered. Deliberately murdered. Killed, targeted, slaughtered, erased from existence. 1,000 people. God damn it. Why is it so fucking hard to say what is happening? Oh, because the legalities, it could be slander. Sue me, motherfucker. I hope you fucking do. I hope you fucking come to my house. I fucking hope you do. I really and truly do. It's not going to be hard to find me. It's not going to be hard to find me. I know it's not. Samuel Ronan, homeowner. You'll find me. Please come. Please come. I will see you in court. I will see you through my front door behind my scope. From my not prop version of that. So, I don't understand why so many news networks and so many politicians are afraid to say what it is. 1,000 Palestinians have been murdered by these organizations. They didn't just randomly fucking die. I think we're ready for this. Yep, I think we're ready for this. Like, this shit right here, this is how I feel. Enraged. Aflame. I feel infuriated by how the fuck are you going to say that?
1,000 Palestinians have died near GHF sites since the United Nations.
Oh, that's from the fucking letter. Okay, Amy. Maybe I will retract my claws from your throat real quick. Well, no, because that wasn't in this quote. What the fuck?
1,000 Palestinians have died near GHF sites since the group started operations in May.
That's all on you, Amy.
Survivors.
If even Amy Goodman from Democracy Now! Can't call it what it is, then like what chance do we even have of getting the right message out there? Hello, Apolitical. I see that chat's a little bit hard to read when it has this background to it. So let's see if I can't fix that a little bit. I don't know if it's gonna work. Because depending on the color I use, it might make it too dark. Oh, I guess I can't because of the way that it is. All right, welcome to the stream, Apolitical. I have been losing my mind for the past 15 minutes, so... Oh, chat is here. Way to be quiet after I tried to engage and try and get some feedback, chat. Honestly, though, I'm kind of wondering, should I actually be wearing my military uniform? I almost feel like I should be. Because this will actually stay in the background. Although, I guess it doesn't... I guess it isn't as visible as I would like it to be. But, like, you know what? I am a veteran. And I am protesting this shit. And I want it to be known that in my capacity as a veteran, I do, in fact, stand against these brazen attacks and just misinformation, like not saying it out loud. So, this is a little tight on me. I'm sorry. My God. I can't believe this actually fits me still, though. But it is definitely a little tight. I need to loosen that shit up. God damn. But I tell you fucking what. I make this shit look good, folks. I'll be damned. I look good in this fucking uniform. I'm just saying, like, I really do belong in this uniform. Like, this really is me. Like, look how, like, this sits so naturally. Now, granted, I wizard sleeve. I guess if I want to be a little bit more keen, usually, hold on, guys. Just gotta... I'm not that great with these sleeves. Try the wizard sleeves on, right? So, I mean, there is that. Of course, the other option would be... Oh, no, these aren't gonna fold. Oh, boy. Oh, man, these are not folding at all. Oh, boy. Here we go. All right. Let's see if I can't fold these sleeves a bit. All right, we're going to... I might have to take this off again just to see if I can roll the sleeve or not. We might have to do the Traoré thing going on here. Yeah, so the only other way to wear this properly, although I think the long sleeves also is suitable for the purposes of the stream, But let's see if I can't get it all the way. Yeah, see, that's not going to work. I'm probably going to need to take... Yeah, because that's not even... I'm a little too swole now. It's okay. We'll just keep it down. But, yeah. Maybe I'll start shaving a little closer more often. But, yeah, this works. How does this look? I don't know, I kind of fuck with this. I feel like this works. Now, this is obviously a knitted beret. If I had a real beret that actually fit, I have a feeling that this would slap. I feel like this would, I think this would be the fit. Didn't think I'd be going back to the military uniform for the stream, but I don't think I ever did wear it in the streams. Because I was so worried about the Hatch Act, but clearly the Hatch Act doesn't fucking matter anymore. Clearly, the Constitution doesn't even fucking matter anymore. The Emoluments Clause thrown out the fucking window. So if I want to wear my fucking uniform to make a goddamn point, I think I fucking will. How about them apples? Come after me, motherfuckers. Very que viva la revolution. Not the worst Che Guevara cosplay. Just say that everything is a prop. Right. This is my prop military uniform that I wore when I was active duty military. This is my prop cigar. I guess I might need to, like, iron some of this. I have clearly not worn it in a very, very long time. My prop hat and my prop rifle. What's the proper word before donuts? Oh, we're making fun of my donut addiction? It's called stress eating, alright? So, I kinda like this. Maybe, well, hold on. I know which background this is now. So, I should be able to switch it. Just for giggles. Just for the little tee-hees and ta-has. Let's see. Maybe I don't remember where it went. Oh. Hold on a second. Where did it go? Somehow I don't think it was that. Alright, here we go. What are we thinking, fam? What are we thinking? I want some feedback. What are we thinking? Is that fire? I think all we need to do now is make sure that there's a background in the text so it can be read. And I think we got it. Alright, well, looks like I might need to do a presidential fire background too. Because this... I feel like this summarizes everything that we are dealing with right now. I think it summarizes the rebel, the protest, the fact that I'm military, the fact that this is for America, for the rebirth of America. It feels like everything's on fire. I don't know. You know, just for emphasis, we'll also do the, we'll do this one as well. just for emphasis so that we know. Actually, I don't think we did need that. Let's go ahead and get rid of it. I don't think we needed that. I think that works just fine. So yeah, I think we figured it out. Is it still La Donas if you're speaking about one donut? I like the switching of backgrounds. Yeah. So right now, this is on the main, so I'd have to duplicate this, which isn't a problem. I don't know where it is going to end up. So this is the same thing, right? And then what I need to do here is switch this back to the standard, which should have just been that. All right. So this is regular base form. This is the standard. This is the no bells and whistles. This is the one where just everything is what it is, right? This is how we start off. And then we have the flaming background with the rebel flag and the statement of the campaign. And then we have everything's linked. God damn it. Of course it is. How do I unlink the whole source? Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. Oh, wait, there we go. Unlink. And we need to unlink that. Of course, now it doesn't want to work like that. All right, so let's see. Should have been... Yeah, nope, don't know. Don't remember which folder that was in the slightest. Thumbnails. Oh, hold up. Maybe now I do. Oh, found it. All right. Perfect. And then this, we should be able to unlink. Make it that. All right, so now, son of a bitch! I cannot win with this. Stop it, you damn thing. Stop it. Sorry, I know we shouldn't be, like, doing screen editing in the middle of the stream. But I think we got two different rebels now. One with the rebel flag that should also be playing our communist music, but it doesn't seem to be wanting to. And then this one, which is the same thing, but I guess it really depends on how we want to feel that day. Like, I feel like what we've been talking about, this is more suitable. Or it has, I don't know, I think it hits the point home just a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the commander-in-chief in the White House. And you know what? I mean, maybe the keffiyeh does take a bit, is a little bit going too much. Maybe I can just have it going over one shoulder. I don't know. We can definitely work on it. We can certainly work on it. Well, considering the keffiyeh is not part of the uniform, I don't know how you would necessarily wear it. All right. Moving on.
Survivors of sexual abuse by Jeffrey Epstein gathered on Capitol Hill Wednesday to share their stories as they called on Congress to release files and documents related to the serial sex offender. This is Epstein survivor Lisa Phillips.
Congress must choose. Will you continue to protect predators, or will you finally protect survivors? And also, I would like to announce here today, us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names, we all know.
All 212 House.
All I can say is release the fucking list. And I don't care where the list comes from. I think these ladies should abso-fucking-lutely do that. And they should absolutely be as scorched earth about it as they possibly can. And if you're trying to survive as somebody who's transgender, he doesn't want you to have defense protection with a gun. Oh yeah, don't worry. We are going to get into that as well. And I bet that gets covered in this as well.
Democrats are expected to vote in favor of a measure to compel the Justice Department to release the Epstein files, meaning 6 Republicans would need to join them to pass the resolution. So far, 4 Republicans have signed on. They're Kentucky Congressmember Thomas Massey, Georgia's Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace of South Carolina, and Lauren Boebert of Colorado.
Wow.
Meanwhile, President Trump...
Seriously? Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene? How the hell did the who's who of QAnon MAGA end up turning against Trump? That's fucking impressive as hell. Like, those women are wrong 99.9999999% of the time. But they are on fire, no pun intended, with this one. I'm impressed.
It's turned up pressure on Republicans to let the story die. Trump was asked Wednesday about the demands of Epstein survivors.
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the...
Really, it's a Democrat hoax when you have your own party members turning against you? And the fact that there are credible witnesses, i.e. the survivors themselves, that are gearing up to burn you and throw you under the bus. I don't believe this means they turned against him. I think it had a lot more to do with shaming and fear of their political future. Boebert changed congressional districts because she was afraid she'd lose. Fair enough.
Kennedy situation, we gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could...
All right, fuck
testimony from Jeffrey Epstein survivors who are both Democrat and Republican and will be joined in Washington.
How can you be an This is what kills me. It's like when gay people are conservative. Like, dude, you're gay. They don't want you. They want you to die. They hate you because you're gay or lesbian or transgender. They hate you. Explicitly hate you. It's like a black person being conservative. They want to return you to the chains. They view you as less than. They do not see you as a human being. Well, not all conservatives are racist. Yeah. Yet somehow most of them, an overwhelming number of them, seem to figure out a way to be racist or side with racists whenever push comes to shove. Same is true for Latinos that are conservative. Buddy, you are hearing live on television where this regime is saying that there are 65 million people that need to be deported. Like, that is how many Latinos are in this country. Regardless of status, there are 65 million of y'all. And there are amongst that 70 or 65 million, conservatives who want you dead, who want you to be working in the fields next to the black people. They want all of y'all to become slave labor again. So I do not understand how any demographic other than white male could even conceive to be conservative, including white women. Y'all are going to be turned into incubators. That's it. Y'all are already being put into prison. Y'all have already died because doctors would not perform a abortion because of your ectoptic pregnancy, the dead fetus in your womb. That little girl, that 18-year-old girl, that 21-year-old girl, I don't know, she was a young woman, died. Actually, no, there must have been multiple cases, because I know a teenager died as well in Texas. So we're having women and children already dying, white women, I believe, too, no less, for the conservative agenda. I don't understand how anyone other than white men who are wealthy could even pretend to be conservative. I don't fucking get that. Because conservatives want to hurt everyone that is not white and wealthy. That is a fact. And it is a fact because we are seeing it with our own eyes being played out. Okay, that is a little hard to read. I'm not going to lie. We're going to have to go back to this chat because I can't read it with the flames. Sorry. He's calling the victims a hoax. Exactly, because of course he's going to be one of the names that are listed. They want to return to the days of the Whigs and the Democrat-Republican Party, and if they had their way, they went back to the good old days of the debates of Federalists and Anti-Federalists in the 1700s. Honestly, I think the 1700s were a little bit more liberal than they are today, which is saying something considering slavery existed back then. The white women who want traditional Christian values. Right, it's just like, you want to be a slave, you want to be a second-class citizen, you want to be forced to slave over a hot stove, cooking and cleaning, dealing with children, barefoot and pregnant. I want sandwich items to be dropped on their head, and then they're told if they want to live to the next day, make themselves a sandwich. They will get so frightened, I swear I want to see the looks on their faces. Oh, you mean the white conservatives, right. God forbid they fend for themselves. How long will it be before they go to a phone and order a pizza? This would make for a great reality show. Yeah, no, I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing there. All right, let's carry on with these videos.
Washington, D.C. by Congressmember Ro Khanna, who co-sponsored the House resolution to release the Epstein files with Republican Congressmember Massey. President Trump's expected to ask the Supreme Court to overturn the $5 million verdict in the civil suit that found he sexually abused writer E. Jean Carroll. Carroll's lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, said, quote, "We do not believe President Trump will be able to present any legal issues in the Carroll cases that merit review by the United States Supreme Court," unquote. In 2023, Carroll testified Trump had violently attacked her in a dressing room at a department store in the mid-1990s. She also won $83.3 million in a defamation case against Trump after he called her a liar. Florida plans to become the first.
I mean, good for her, honestly. And this just goes to the point that Trump will lie, will accuse the opposition of lying or slandering or whatever else, and then constantly loses because he is, in fact, the one that is doing the lying, the grifting, the whatever. But that doesn't stop him from trying to intimidate, harass, or to otherwise make the person's life a living nightmare or threaten them outright, their futures, their careers, their positions, their whatever else. So the fact that Eugene is getting anything from it is quite fucking impressive. Like the Trump-supporting trans man who was arguing with you a couple days ago. Yeah, that was wild. She came up in that guy's radio show or podcast. Someone got really defensive on the phone about it in support of Trump. Yeah. He was talking shit about Mexicans being invaders, stealing land. He was defending Trump's kids being called anchor babies, then called me white for saying that he is just racist and stupid. Well, you know, that's usually what racist, stupid people default to when trying to insult people of color. It's by calling them white, which I don't understand that. So you're calling somebody white as an insult, but you are defending white supremacy? So what's the insult then? That white supremacy is bad? Because it is. But I don't think you understand that you just insulted your own argument. People do have very crazy worldviews. Yeah, I'll let you handle that in chat.
To end all vaccine mandates for children to attend school, including for preventable diseases such as measles, mumps, chickenpox, polio, and hepatitis. On Wednesday, Florida Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo said that the vaccine requirement is, quote, wrong and drips with disdain and slavery, unquote. The American Medical Association responded to Florida's plan to end vaccine mandates, saying it would, quote, undermine decades of public health progress, unquote. According to the World Health Organization, vaccines have saved the lives of 154 million people globally over the past half-century, many of them infants and children. Meanwhile, California...
I feel like that number is low, though. If we're talking globally, like, how are they coming up with 154 million? Because on the one hand, right, well, I guess both of these chats now have the fiery background. On the one hand, how many people were dying from measles, mumps, rubella, polio, and tuberculosis, right? Because we've all but eradicated all those diseases. I mean, they're coming back because of anti-vax movements, but still, we did get rid of that, and those were global pandemics. Like, that would absolutely kill single-digit to double-digit percentages of populations, right? So, wouldn't the number be billions? Like, not 154 million? I don't know. I'm not a statistician, and I didn't get fired by this regime for being one, but that number seems incredibly low. I'd be very interested to see the statistics.
Oregon and Washington have announced they're forming a new health alliance to provide unified vaccine recommendations after Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. withdrew federal COVID vaccine recommendations for pregnant women and healthy children back in May. He will testify before Congress today. More than 1,000 current and former workers at the Department of Health and Human Services sent a letter to Congress demanding the resignation of RFK Jr. over his pseudoscientific claims and his attacks on public health. This comes just days after the New York Times published a joint op-ed by 9 former directors of the Centers for Disease Control headlined, "We ran the CDC. Kennedy is endangering every American's health." They write, quote, "This is a time to rally to protect the health of every American. Congress must exercise its oversight authority over health and human services," unquote. A federal judge in Boston has ruled in favor of Harvard, saying the Trump administration broke the law, violating the university's free speech rights when canceling nearly $2.2 billion in research grants. In her ruling, Judge Allison Burroughs wrote, quote, "A review of the administrative record makes it difficult to conclude anything other that the government used anti-Semitism as a smokescreen for a targeted, ideologically motivated assault on this country's premier universities."
I mean, didn't we fucking say that the day, the minute, the hour it actually fucking happened? Like, and how is this 6 months, like 7, 8, 9 months later? Like, this should have been the ruling literally the same day that these politically motivated assaults occurred, because that's all they could have been. And the fact that they're saying that it was a smokescreen for a targeted, ideologically motivated assault where they used anti-Semitism, like, obviously that's what they were doing. It was very clearly what they were doing. It was so unbelievably obvious that's what they were doing. How did it take this long to come to that conclusion?
Unquote. Harvard was the only university to sue the Trump administration after it targeted the school's research funding over claims of anti-Semitism. The Trump administration also tried to prevent Harvard from enrolling foreign students and threatened to revoke its tax-exempt status. The White House says it plans to appeal the decision.
How?
Secretary of State Marco
Seriously,
Rubio is defending the Pentagon's
how are they
decision
going to
to
appeal the decision? I would really like to know how they're going to do that. Well, it wasn't anti-Semitism and it wasn't politically motivated. When you literally said, if you do not comply with my regime's policies, platforms, and beliefs, you're going to lose the money. They said it in the first place. This is why you're losing the money, because you are not complying with our administration's platform. So much for pro-life. Oh, it's slavery to look out for others who have to sit near you. I'd say get all those students out of those schools. I mean, quite frankly, that's what happened. Chinese students were fucking Sweden. Hold on, I can't. Is it this one? All right, perfect. You do realize Sweden, Norway, and China literally airlifted their students out of the United States of America. Like, short of actually paradropping troopers and having the military special forces take them and their belongings and get back on a helo and bounce, short of that, there were at least 3 countries that did go out of their way to protect their citizens who were studying here and being targeted by this administration. So, like, I don't know how they're going to fucking do that. I really don't know. In fact, once they're in the building, keep them in there. Anybody who has to deliver food to them has to be in a hazmat suit. Parents need to be arrested for child abuse. They are abusing other children, even their own, by letting death machines out and about. And again, the anti-vax movement has caused dozens, if not hundreds of deaths already for entirely preventable diseases. Cured diseases, all but eradicated diseases. Diseases that we thought were no longer an issue are because of the anti-vax movement, which has been obviously repeatedly debunked. So yeah, people should absolutely be in prison for their own stupid actions.
A boat in the Caribbean Sea, killing 11 people. Speaking to reporters Wednesday, Rubio said, quote, instead of interdicting it on the president's orders, we blew it up and it'll happen again, he said.
So Marco Rubio is admitting on international television that they disobeyed the president's order to capture it and instead blew it up. On top of that, Venezuela is saying, well, we didn't find any debris, so we're going to claim that this is in fact a hoax. And then every article and investigation about this type of craft stipulates that it is not what they are claiming it is in any sense of the word, that it is handmade, it's wooden, and that they couldn't even fit 11 people on there if they wanted to, let alone a shit ton of cocaine.
White House has failed to provide any evidence backing its claims the boat was carrying illegal drugs from Venezuela.
Or that it even existed.
The strike may have violated international law and the U.S. Constitution, which grants Congress rather than the president the power to declare war. And in Italy, audience members at the Venice Film Festival rose for a record 22-minute standing ovation Wednesday after the premiere of The Voice of Hind Rajab, a docudrama about the real-life story of a Palestinian girl whose killing by Israeli forces in Gaza in January 2024 reverberated around the world.
Well, at least she was honest about that.
By Tunisian director Khalfa Ben-Hania incorporates real audio recordings of phone calls from Hind as she was trapped under Israeli fire for hours, begging to be rescued from a car where her aunt, uncle, and 3 cousins lay dead. Hind was ultimately killed along with 2 Palestinian paramedics dispatched to rescue her. Ahead of the film's premiere, actress Saja Kilani read a statement on behalf of the cast and crew.
On behalf of all of us actors and in the name of the entire team, we ask, isn't it enough? Enough of the mass killing, the starvation, the dehumanization, the destruction, the ongoing occupation. The voice of Hind Rajab does not need our defense. This film is not an opinion or a fantasy. It is anchored in truth. Hind's story carries the weight of an entire people.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Nermeen Sheikh. Welcome to our listeners and viewers across the country. And
yeah, I mean, we got an hour and 20 minutes out of this video because, quite frankly, most of these headlines were just that fucking heinous. And I don't get it. I don't get how we can be so fucking callous and disregarding the humanity that is being tarnished around us. Whether it's the Epstein survivors being disregarded and defamed by the sitting president, whether it's the atrocities being committed by Israel, them being extremely open and loud about it, the fact that Hind Rajab was murdered almost in the beginning of this whole thing, and it is still barely making a footnote in news that it happened and that it was a direct attack by Israel directed at her Like, I don't understand how we can lack that much humanity. I don't get it. I really do not get how we can just completely disregard the horrors that are happening in front of our very eyes. Right, until the ghouls shut up, more documentaries about the truth. I mean, I guess that's all we can do. Not that it's levity to talk about Marco Rubio's grandfather, but we may as well do that next. Although apparently that seems like it might be towards the bottom here. I do not see... Did you just add it? No, I get that. I'm saying, where's Marco Rubio's grandfather? Because I'm not seeing that. I thought you said there was one about that. We have a video about that too. What was that in reference to then? It must have been something that I said then. Okay. Fuck. I don't know. All right, let's start with this, I think.
All right, let's get to Zoran, shall we?
Oh,
yeah, well, it ties together because obviously, his campaign built on affordability and finding this, sort of rock star status in New York City, coming out of nowhere to win the primary over Emily Antonin. Zoran beat the polls by like 20 points and totally remade the electorate. Really energized young people who, were inspired by what he had going on. Okay, I'm gonna get out there and vote in a way that I never have. So typically in New York City, when you win the Democratic primary, that's it. It's a wrap. It's over because it's a very heavily blue Democratic city. Not so much this time around. You had Cuomo, who allegedly is a Democrat, who decided, I'm not going to actually just full time. And let's be clear, he's polling very poorly. He's in like single digits or like very low double digits. Typically, people hate him in the city. They think he's
ethical issues with this news. We are talking about a mayor who was facing an indictment that was then dropped by this administration to ensure greater collaboration with the immigration directives of this administration, now being considered for a job offer such that he would drop out of a race to represent this city because of the fact that they believe that would increase the odds of anyone being able to defeat me. Those are incredible ethical issues. And none of this has to do with New Yorkers. None of it has to do with the welfare of this city. It all has to do with power. It all has to
Where was this guy when we went to the what was it? It was a dinner of some sort, right? During the 2024 presidential election. Like, where was this guy during that time? I would have loved to have met this guy. Who we met was, we can't be seen together. Do not post that on the internet. I don't want to be associated with you or with anything even adjacent to socialism and, resisting the establishment. Now, all of a sudden, he's like doing the thing. I would have loved to have met this guy.
That we have here to believe that we could pick our own mayor. That we have to believe that the most pressing issues are not how to ensure that Donald Trump continues to have an ambassador in City Hall, but that New Yorkers can actually afford the place that they call home.
He's got a great line about Cuomo. He says, Cuomo.
Okay, I know you watch these, but I tend to jump through them because I don't give a shit about their hot takes on it. I want to see the news, but they don't tend to report, do they? They tend to actually do what I'm doing, which is discuss what they're seeing. Well, okay. Let's see. Yeah. I don't know. Do we want this background or this background? All right, here's my take on Zoran. Zoran, I met personally. I met him personally at a pro-Bangladesh it was a Bangladeshi, I don't know what it was. It was an event. It was a political event that the Bangladeshi representation held for elected officials. And we met him there. Anna helped me get there. And we met him in person. And he gave a fiery speech about pro-Palestine and this, that, and the other. But he always stopped just shy of condemning the party. He always stopped just shy of being revolutionary with it, right? He was bold as far as any Democrat goes, condemning Israel and being pro-Palestine. He was bold. He called out a couple of politicians there. But then when we approached him to be like, hey, that's awesome. I'm running for office. I think we could work together. I think there's a lot that we could do for each other. And he was like, yeah, no, I don't want any part of that. I don't want to be associated. I don't want to run any risks. Like, I don't want none of that. And then now we see him being pro this, that, and the other, but also talking to former Obama staffers. And then having meetings with landlords and having meetings with banking institutions in New York. And it just really makes me question the authenticity and the veracity of the Zoran from, what we saw here. So, this guy. This guy is based as fuck. But that is not, whoops. Must be this button. Oh, I guess that's under hotkey. So, this guy is based. The guy that I met, not so much. So, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm trying to see if that was his true colors or if this is his true colors. For all intents and purposes, I hope that's the true colors. But I am fairly certain it is what we encountered. Exactly. I hope I am wrong. It was a celebration of Bangladeshi national holiday. Yeah, okay. It's not really a dislike, more like curiosity. Why is he one person one day and someone else the next? Exactly. Like, all I'm doing is becoming more and more left. Like, all I'm doing is becoming more and more enraged. All right? Inflamed, if you will. That's me. Like, right here, this is me. Right? This is me when I'm calm, right? Without the uniform, right? And then this is me now. Enraged, uniform on, cigar in hand, prop beside me. Like, I don't know what else to say other than, like, I haven't changed gears. We watched my old Future Forum, Democratic DNC chair campaign forum videos. I haven't changed my tune in the slightest. If anything, I've become far more aggressive in the past, 7 years, 8 years? Like, so, I mean, if we want authentic and consistent, I haven't changed my tune not once since I got into politics. If anything, I have gotten more and more left. So, fine, I've changed my tune by becoming more and more on the right side of history the more and more I learned. But every time I learned something about history, I didn't resist it. I adapted to it, I addressed it, and I adhered to it. I don't think there's anything that I have not evolved on. I can't think of a single policy position that hasn't shifted more to the left since leaving active duty. Since April 4th, 2015, April 3rd, 2015. That was my last day of active duty, folks. Now, granted, I was in the reserves, but I don't really count the reserves as active duty time because it was the reserves. And even though I was on orders, that doesn't count. And if you're a veteran, or rather, it's like if you know, you know kind of deal. Wow. IYKYK. Say that 5 times fast. That's tricky. Yeah, I think you went from left to too far left. Probably. But realistically, I think I'm probably center left in Europe. I honestly, if I am left anywhere on this planet, it is in America. Everywhere else on this planet, I'm probably center left. Like, I still believe in a centralized government system. I still believe in infrastructure and leadership structures. I'd still believe in a strong, robust military. Like, there are still things that make me right-leaning in my views, but everything should be owned by the people, and every decision made should be on behalf of the majority of the population, which puts me back on the left. Which is why I say I'm a left-leaning centrist. On the actual Overton window scale. Like, obviously, in real-world politics, I am an extreme tree-hugging lefty. Like, even in Germany now, even in Europe now, I'd probably be considered a leftist, even in Europe. But in the actual true Overton window, I'm probably center-left. Oh, went from left to the far left. I see. That's better. Yeah, that's what happens when you hand out with the radical Latinas for too long. With the yeah. I think you're on the terrorist scale for Republicans in America. Oh, I am most definitely. The fact that I wear this uniform and don't parrot their talking points probably makes their brains explode. Just wait until you radicalize people to satanic connections. It's going to be super tempting to stay forever young. Jesus Christ. We do not condone the sacrificing of virgins, goats, or other animals. No animals were harmed in the making of this production. The flames are the burning of our society and Western civilization. We're making good progress. I still have most of a cup of water, but I need a quick break. So why don't we take a quick break? And when we get back, we will cover... What will we cover? What do we got left here? We got a lot of stuff left because we took up a lot of time up there. Transparency. Well, that was in the coverage of Democracy Now. Tariffs. I think we'll pick up this one.
Do you want to know where to invest $1,000
right now?
Of
course, we're going to get an ad first.
Well, forget about AI, quantum computing.
We started this with...
All right. What the fuck? Why is Tucker Carlson... Oh, my God. What the fuck is this shit? That's Tucker, right? Why the hell is he here? What is he doing here? I need answers. And I guess we'll get those answers on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Hey, oh, damn. You know, I do realize we're playing a lot of communist music, and I'm sitting in the White House, and communist music is mostly Russian. I promise that doesn't make me a Russian asset. It just means we don't have any based music like this in America, or from America, I should say. So I do be apologizing. I do be apologizing. All right. It's so hold on a second. Apolitical is all, what is this music, man? USSR? I recognize it. Like, bruh. You're acting like, oh, what's this whack music? It's like, bro, wait, I remember this shit. Like, don't be frontin'. Yankee Doodle Dandy. Well, we tried actually playing American Revolutionary music, and it was trash. It was literally... like, it was literally that type of revolutionary music. And then all of the 1920s socialist music in America is trash. I'm talking just garbage. Garbage. So yeah, no. We got to play the OG stuff. Like this one I think is Chinese. CCCP? No, it must not be. Wait, no, maybe it is. Oh wait, nope, that's still Russian. Here's a German one. Oh. With, you know, a modern twist. Yeah, you know what, maybe I do need to take that off. That doesn't sound revolutionary at all. We'll get rid of that, actually. What about this one? Oh, yeah, no, this is a... Tell me which country this is from.
Und weil der Mensch ein Mensch ist, drum braucht was zum Essen, bitte sehr. Es macht ihn ein Geschwätz nicht satt, das schafft kein Essen her. Rum links, 2, 3, rum links, 2, 3, wo der Platz genossen ist. Weil ich in die Arbeit einmeinst und weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist.
Now, just to be clear, that is German. That was German. And it's called the Einheitsfrontlied, and it is a German worker song. And the lyrics are literally, we are people because we are people. We are workers because we work. We eat because we need to eat. And it's shit like that. It is actually a populist song, but it's German. Wait a second, Anna. James O'Keefe, isn't he that guy in the news who did some very bad stuff? Is he back on the news? Where the hell? Oh, okay, never mind. That was your conversation earlier. Yeah, I'm a Russian communist, a German nationalist. I think there's a Chinese. There's got to be some Chinese ones in here. Oh, here's a French one. Which, when it does this kind of choral, you can't really tell what language it is. So that was France. But where's the China one? I got some Chinese ones. Oh wait, hold on. I got something for the Latina Revolucionaries in the chat.
Too quiet.
Oh,
make sound from 100% to 600% louder.
Even though I have an ad blocker
Add extra
on.
sound to Chrome.
Are you shitting me?
No serán lágrimas por Víctor Díaz. Será un vuelo de pájaros al alba, anchas calles de puños y banderas, algarabía de niños y guitarras. ¿Dónde compañeros, ¿dónde están? Caídos en mazmorras, sepultados, torturados por las garras de traidores.
There's this one. I think.
La mano del verdugo está en la sombra. Golpea al pueblo y mata oscuramente. La vida de los héroes de Chile se escribe en el peligro
I'm glad you know who this is.
Adelante vienen los cuervos de muerte. ¿Dónde está? No serán lágrimas por Ezequiel Ponce.
So,
será la
I am an equal opportunity revolution music player. Oh my god. Some of these titles from the Chinese one is fucking wild. The title of this is literally Socialism is Good. And now, this one is March of Sweeping East Wind, which is a Chinese military march, which is probably what they were playing in that video we were watching yesterday about the military parade. The better question, apolitical, is what don't I need international revolutionary music for? Because quite frankly, revolutionary music is very emphatic when making revolutionary discourse. Listen to that. If I turn down the volume of this so it doesn't overpower my own voice, and I start talking about the need to resist Israel, to resist this regime, that we must stand united as the American people, that we are the final frontier, that we are the last line of defense against humanity, civilization, and the hope of all future generations to come, that our children's children's children and their progeny to come will look back upon this man, this time, this place, this hour, in the year of our Lord, September 4th, 2025, and recognize that here and now, at this channel, we will stand and we will fight and we will resist. And we will stand united against these corrupt autocrats, these nationalists, these genociders, these white supremacists. And we will stand united and forge our destiny without their say. With the flames of our society raging beside us, in front of us and behind us, threatening to consume us one and all. We stood firm. We stood firm. We stood united, and we said in a united voice, we will not quit. Oh, did I stutter? I wasn't even ready to give a speech, and I just fucking belted that out.
I didn't need another smooth talker.
All I'm saying is, folks,
followed up. I used to think we had.
All I am saying
only 1%
is that there is a reason to have revolutionary music, and it is to emphasize revolutionary words, discourse, communication, engagement, and gathering. And the fact that the United States of America is starkly, what's the word I want to look for here? Devoid of revolutionary music that instills that level of pride and unity, like the Chinese song, the Russian songs, and even the French song. I'm still trying to find the right flavor of music with the Spanish ones. Not saying that they aren't revolutionary, but I have a hard time finding that rhythm Whereas when you have the choral music and the marching military parade songs, it's really easy to get right in there. But with the Spanish, it's like y'all will play salsa and samba music to literally anything, whether you're lopping off people's heads or you're having a quinceañera. So it's hard for me to hear quinceañera music and give a rousing speech. Some Spanish ones, like the one that I sent you a few days ago, it was choral and marching. Well, you might need to send that to me again. Unless it's at the very bottom of this playlist. Nope. It is. Oh, wait. Oh, shit, it is. Let's go. It's still upbeat though. All right. Let's see if I can find let's see, famous speech by Che Guevara in Spanish. Text. Okay. I think. All right, so okay, that's entirely too long. That is entirely too long. I cannot read all of that. I will read the end of the speech because I assume that's the climax and the ending of the speech. I do not know Spanish. I am not fluent in Spanish. I do not even have a basic conversational level of Spanish. What I can do, however, is read well, and I was very, very good at Latin. So, I will try a couple paragraphs here, and hopefully it doesn't, embarrass the I will read for as long as this music is playing. How about that? So, no hay enemigo pequeño ni fuerza destinable, porque ya no hay pueblos aislados, como establece la segunda declaración de La Habana. Ningún pueblo de América Latina es débil porque forma parte de una familia de 200 millones de hermanos que padecen las mismas miserias, abrigan los mismos sentimientos, tienen el mismo enemigo, sueñan todos un mismo mejor destino y cuentan con la solidaridad de todos los hombres y mujeres honrados del mundo. Esta epopeya que tenemos delante la van a escribir las masas hambrientas de indios, de campesinos sin tierra, de obreros explotados. La van a escribir las masas progresistas, los intelectuales honestos y brillantes que tanto abundan en nuestras sufridas tierras de América Latina. Lucha en masas ideas o papaya que elevan adelante nuestros pueblos maltratados y despreciados por el imperialismo, nuestros pueblos desconocidos hasta hoy que ya empiezan a quererle el sueño, nos considerarán rebaño impotente y sumiso y ya se empieza a estudiar de este rebaño gigante de 200 millones de latinoamericanos en los que advierte ya sus sepultureros el capital monopolista yanqui. La hora de su redención, la hora que ella misma se ha legado, la vienen señalando con precisión también de un extremo a otro del continente. Ahora esta masa anónima, esta América de color sombría, taciturna, que canta un todo el continente con un misma tristeza y desengaño. Ahora esta masa es la que empieza a entrar definitivamente en su propia historia. La empieza a escribir con su sangre, la empieza a sufrir y a morir, porque ahora los campos y las montañas de América, por las faldas de sus sierras, por sus llanuras y sus selvas, entre la soledad o el tráfico de las ciudades en las costas de los grandes océanos y ríos, se empieza estremecer este mundo lleno de corazones con los buenos calientes de deseos de morir por lo suyo, de conquistar sus derrocos casi con niños años perdidos por unos y por otros. Ahora, si la historia tendrá que contar con los pobres de América, con los explotados y vilipendiados que han decidido empezar a escribir ellos mismos para siempre su historia. Now, I obviously was in the middle of that speech paragraph when that song ended. But I feel like, even with my lack of Spanish speaking ability, hearing that probably would have been better if I knew actual Spanish, because I'm confident I mispronounced quite a bit there. And my pacing was probably wrong too, because again, I don't know what I was saying. I'm fairly certain with that music playing in the background and that speech being given, probably had some of that going on. And maybe I should have had the rifle going on a little bit more. I don't know. But I was struggling to focus on that. All right. So, I hope that answers your question, pop culture. Let's see. Oh, geez. Wow. Probably the ones that he gave at the UN. One of the ones I don't know where that one was given, to be honest. Well, this is all in Spanish, so I don't even think. It follows the Spanish full-text transcripts of Che Guevara's Patria o Muerte speech delivered before the United Nations General Assembly. There we go. So yeah, that was the UN one. Ha! Single brain cell. Let's go. Those were extremely long. And that was just 3 paragraphs. Fidel once gave an 8-hour speech. Yeah, I don't think I can do that. Sam es malo en español, pero tiene un corazón español. History will absolve me. Nice. Estás hablando bien. Bien. I think bien means good, right? So I did good? I did a good job, Sam. Sam has had a good job, I think, is how that. Sam es el presidente. I'll take it. El comandante. I'll take that too. You mean to tell me Sam is making up words? No, I was reading a speech in a language that I am not fluent in. No way, and it's also a prop gun. Correct. Flexing how good he can pronounce. Goddamn right. I bet, I don't know, I got a couple of Spanish-speaking people here, so it seems like they could give me an answer of how well I did. Bien hecho, Sam, pero puedes parar ahora. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like it was a compliment. Thank you. How do you roll R's anyway? I tried it in my college Spanish course, but couldn't do it. So, you roll the R in Spanish. It's right there. That, whatever that's called, your palate. You put your tongue there. And then you kind of like a cat hisses. Right? But with your tongue up there. It's the same thing. So when you say R, rot, pero puedo parar ahora, you just do that when you're speaking. It's that simple. Amor en el corazón español, Sam ahora tiene un 10% de participación. I lost 20% of American blood. I mean, to be American is closer to being Latino anyway, because Mexicans are Latino and are indigenous to this continent. I don't know how to explain it. I used to overroll my R's when I was a kid. That says 20% Filipino. Could be. Patria o muerte was the calling of the revolutionaries. The Guasanos is patria o vida. Oh, interesting. I tried that right now and no rolling R's happened. I used to roll my R's against my cheek, so I used to over... Prero. How would you even... Amor. Prero. Perro puedes parar. How would you even roll? How do you even get your tongue into your cheek while talking? There's your problem. You were speaking weird. What? Like, I don't... Like, my tongue is a little bit too big for my mouth, and I can't even comfortably get it into my cheek. What? You were a kid that was talking like this. Look, Mom, I'm speaking Spanish. Una niña chiquita. Yeah, chiquita speaking from everywhere other than her mouth and teeth. Like, that's not the part of your body that you talk from. Anyway. Patria o muerte. One of these days, I will actually know Spanish, and I will try and actually give that speech. Hopefully, I don't butcher it though. Because I don't want to mock that speech. I don't want to mock Che Guevara. I have a great deal of respect of Che Guevara, right? So I hope I did that a little bit justice. And I think I was right in some of the intonations and inflections that I did. It just felt like some of those words were part of like a very rousing part of that speech. When are you getting my TikTok game up? Well, I'm probably going to actually try and start either this weekend or next weekend. The problem is whenever I'm inspired is when I don't have the time to do it or the ability because I'm at work. Because obviously at work, I don't want to work. So at work, it's like, oh man, I could be doing this, I could be doing that. And then I get home, and then it's like, oh shit, I got to prepare for the stream, or I got to make dinner, or I got to water the grass, or some other nonsense, right? So part of it is my own, I guess, still rut. But I am working on, I have several ideas on the social media side of things, doing shorts in a cell phone type deal. But given the nature of how badass this actually looks, I think I might do it in uniform. And I think we could do between this and this. Like we might try both and do like an A to B testing type deal and see which one does better. But I'm definitely liking the vibe that this is giving. Excuse me. The president one? Yeah, I can buy that. Because again, I'm wearing the military uniform in the office that I've earned. I've earned these stripes. I earned this uniform. And I'd be one of the first military presidents who actually served in a legitimate capacity. Because Bush, he was a whatever in the army or whatever he was. But like, he's a Bush. Like, that's just something you do on your way to presidency. Like, when was the last enlisted president? I don't know. We could Google that, though. That's an interesting factoid. The last president of the United States who enlisted in the military was George W. Bush? No, he was an officer, so that's not it. Who was... Yeah, see, commission. So that's not it. That is definitely not it. So highest ranks, that's what we kind of want to look at. Private. James Buchanan was enlisted. And that would have been that would have been the 15th president, so 1857. Was there anybody else? No. So the last enlisted, or the last person with military service that only was enlisted was James Buchanan, our 15th president, and I outrank him because a private, right? So private, I think, is literally E1. And I'm an NCO. I'm a staff sergeant in the Air Force. So Samuel Ronan, am the first and only non-commissioned officer to ascend to the rank of President of the United States of America. Which, you know. Yeah, a lot of these guys, though, back in the day, colonel, general, general. Yeah, a couple captains here and there, majors here and there. General of the armies, general, colonel, captain, general, lieutenant, a commander, which I think would be lieutenant, or Navy. Navy commanders are the equivalent of colonels, and then, of course, lieutenant commanders being lieutenant colonels. And I think a lieutenant is the equivalent of a captain in the Navy. So it just went really downhill in modern times with the ranking system. 03s, 03, 02. Yeah. George W. Bush was a lieutenant in the Navy Reserves. So, like, that barely counts as military service. And Reagan was a captain in the Army Reserve. So, again, that doesn't count for shit. George W. was a first lieutenant, which means 2 years of service in the National Guard, which the National Guard sometimes deploys and does real stuff, but not when he was in. So, yeah. Nope. I will be the first and only NCO to make it to the presidency. That's actually a really neat factoid. We're going to save that. All right. Kind of went off the rails there a little bit. Looks like we maintained our viewership, so that's good. I didn't scare away too many people. Oh, shit. James Buchanan didn't even have a woman. Say less. Bachelor, NCO, let's go. I'll be the real alpha. Yes, Trump did fake an injury to skip the military. He 100% did. Let's see. No idea what that rank means, but sounds cool. Well, never mind the fact that he pushed the country so close to civil war, he had no wife, woman in his life, and he still... Oh, wait, so Buchanan was not good. My bad. I didn't say he was good. I was just trying to say that I'm a real alpha. That's all I was trying to say. Is veteran a big deal in America? Yes. Here, not so much. It's kind of seemed as cool at most. In America, military service is almost treated as minor celebrity status. Like, especially in small towns, there will be banners of you in the downtown. In fact, there was a banner of me while I was active duty, and if I want my banner back up there, all I have to do is submit my military picture, and it'll be up there on Main Street or something. So yeah, veteran is kind of a... You're basically a hometown hero. Like, when they say hometown hero, like, that they literally mean that. You are the equivalent of, like, a D-list celebrity from your hometown, just because you served. No, I was just commenting that they say you need a woman in your life. It makes you alpha, but there's Buchanan with his social life. Well, and there have been presidents without first ladies. Let's be clear about that. But you're right, they haven't all been good either, so that's not a good... But then again, the presidents with first ladies weren't good either, so it's like... We are a very militarist country, so the veterans are like royalty. Yeah. I'm not Superman. I am not Henry Cavill. I'm Che Guevara. All right.
Saying it was a wild press conference that spanned all kinds of different topics, and it was, including tariffs. So, Ryan, let's talk about how the president responded to setbacks, or maybe he doesn't see them as setbacks, but setbacks in his tariff war. We can go ahead and roll B1 again from this press conference yesterday.
And now it's going to the Supreme Court. Now we're going to be asking for early admittance. We're going tomorrow. You know, when you look at the stock markets down today, the stock that needs.
Hey, stop playing with your fanny pack. You need the bearskin tactic.
Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, obviously, Narendra Modi was in the mix as well over the last couple of days. Ryan, what was your reaction to Trump's comments there?
So he referenced the stock market.
Oh, this isn't Tucker. Oh, I'm sorry. You look a lot like him. Like you could be cousins or brothers. Like it is uncanny how similar to Tucker Carlson you look, buddy.
So it wasn't huge, but like the market was down across the board. This is coming because...
So I skip it because listening to him makes me angry. Like listening to Trump's voice makes me very angry and unhinged. But he was saying that the stock market is down because of the tariffs not being higher or more or whatever else. Trump will just spew whatever nonsense comes out of his mouth to try and justify his actions, and it's never true. Stock market goes down because of uncertainty. It's going down because you are literally tanking it with your own tweets. You are threatening world leaders and disrupting international trade.
This appeals court has affirmed the lower court's ruling that Trump's use of the tariffs is illegal, that the president retains ability to put tariffs in place in particular instances, but he does not have an across-the-board ability to just willy-nilly slap tariffs on everybody for any reason. He just doesn't have that power, and he's clearly doing it that way. Like, India's
So why are we even talking about this? If he doesn't have the power, the authority, or the means to do it, then why are we fucking talking about it? That's what I would like to know.
Oil from Russia, well, here's another 25% tax on a tariff on India. Or the entire formula that he rolled out that hit the entire world. There was nothing, there was very little attempt to root it in the statutory authority that delegates to the president the ability to implement these tariffs. The consequence of that is, think about that. One reason that the market hasn't gone haywire over the tariffs is because there was significant revenue coming in, and we haven't had a...
But that isn't revenue! It's literally extorting consumers. Jesus Christ. All right. That's not the button I wanted to press. I'm sorry, I pressed the wrong button here. Judge orders Trump to refund the tariffs, which would be great. I wonder how much money we're all going to get back because I've spent money during these tariffs. I kind of wonder how much more I spent on the tariffs than I would have otherwise. That would be very interesting to find out that we're all going to get like several $100s in checks back. That would be fucking hilarious.
This might just be my most controversial video I've ever done, while at the same time being the biggest piece of constitutional advocacy I've ever done. Before I get going, let me clearly state for anyone who is new here that I am a constitutional advocate and a Second Amendment activist. Nothing more, nothing less. I stand for everybody's rights, even if I don't agree with what the person is doing. I think the Constitution is paramount. And this one's gonna ruffle some feathers. Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, the premier source for Second Amendment dropped. The U.S. Department of Justice, under the Trump administration, is actively considering barring individuals diagnosed with gender dysphoria from purchasing firearms.
Hold up. So they're basing on a diagnosis of gender dysphoria. But that's not transgenderism, and there are multiple medical conditions that have chromosome variants. So, okay, I digress. Gonna play?
This isn't just about gun policy. This is about mental health, constitutional rights, and identity. And this is very similar to making an executive fiat that bans firearms for any other subset of people in the American society.
Correct. Everything's a slippery slope. That's what we've been saying.
This isn't just
What's
a wallet,
with these
it's a rare
acts?
find. There's something different about owning something almost nobody else has. That's why when Ridge...
If the government decided to pass Jim Crow laws to ban firearms for all black people, like they did before, folks would go crazy, just as they would if the Department of Justice or the Trump administration decided to ban guns for all Yankee fans. Now, go Red Sox. Without some type of criminal activity that someone was found guilty of, or a legitimate doctor diagnosing them mentally ill or unstable and taking the appropriate course of action there is a huge constitutional issue at hand here. Let's break down what's happening, what's at stake, and why it matters. And I really want to hear your opinion on this.
Oh, great, because I'm about to give it. The long and short of it is it's already violating the 14th Amendment. It's already violating the 4th Amendment, which is due process under the law, right? And that demographics are protected, right? That the law shall apply equally to all persons in the United States. So it's unconstitutional. To be extremely fucking clear, it is unconstitutional to disparage against any demographic for any fucking reason whatsoever, to deny them any of their rights, not least of which, well, would be the Second Amendment. So, since we're talking about the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. A well-regulated militia's right to bear arms, however the phrasing is, right? But the well-regulated is in there. Okay. Well, well-regulated does not mean we can just arbitrarily define a regulation that disparages against a demographic, because that would then, in turn, violate a different right, a different amendment, which is why it's unconstitutional to base that decision on arbitrary things like a diagnosis like gender dysphoria, or, as the guy said, denying black people from having guns or brown people from having guns. And since felons can't have guns, and we want to apparently racially profile everyone that's Latino, eventually that's going to turn into felony charges. And they're going to be like, all right, fine, if we can't say brown people can't have guns, then we'll just start charging everybody with felonies. You know what else you can't do if you have a felony? Vote. You see where this is going? You see where this is going? If you have felonies, you can't vote and you can't have guns. Now, why would a regime try to make it impossible for their citizens to access guns and to be able to vote simultaneously? Why would they do that? Anybody? It's because they don't want opposition and they fear freedom. Yes, that's right. They fear freedom. The freedom to speak, the freedom to exercise their rights. All of it. So the more a regime tries to silence or to deny people their rights to anything, the more indicative of that regime's intention to destroy whatever rights, freedoms, or privileges the citizenry enjoy. Regardless of which demographic is targeted, what can happen unto them can happen to thee. Or what happens to thee can happen to me. I don't know how that phrase goes, but it's something along those lines. It's not a suit, it's a uniform. And can I shoot well? For legal reasons, no. For legal reasons, I am a terrible, terrible shot. I am the worst shot to ever shoot a rifle, to ever shoot a pistol, to ever shoot a shotgun. In fact, I'm so terrible, I barely qualified in the United States Air Force, which is a requirement in order to graduate basic training. So I am a good enough shot to graduate basic training for legal reasons, and in case I am ever attacked, or if I am ever in need to defend myself, if I happen to use lethal force, it is legally because I was not good enough to prevent using lethal force. And there is nothing in my military records, training, or history to suggest otherwise. So, food for thought, legal reasons. When the ear thing came up, people who believe like he does got to keep their guns. Right. A white male active shooter didn't create a national pandemic to strip white male straight men of their gun rights, but one transgender person does it. Now everybody's like it. Consider this: before this happened, they didn't try for this. They weren't this vocal about denying guns to them. Exactly. They look for one person to go to ballistic, and then they do all of this. It's true. They were waiting for an event to happen, and unfortunately, it happened. And that's the worst thing. Every time an active shooter goes out after, some sort of event occurs, I always pray that it's just a white guy, because then it's not going to be sensationalized. But if it was a black person, a brown person, God forbid, a Muslim person, or evidently a transgender person, shit would have hit the fan, as it did. And because of the sensationalization of it, now transgender people, which are already being targeted by this administration and MAGA, are being doubly so, triply so, much, much, much more so. And it's all to fuel the administration, the regime's end goal of total authoritarian control over society and the eradication of the othered demographics. Now, I got into an online argument on Facebook saying that what's happening in Ukraine is genocide, and it's like, no, the fuck it's not. However, what we are doing to black and brown people in America, and evidently now transgender people, and of course indigenous people in this country, has been and continues to be genocide, because that is a direct, systemic, politically driven erasure of a people and identity. That's what makes it a genocide. Russia invading the Ukraine to annex it and steal their resources is not a genocide. War is not intrinsically genocide. Even World War II, that destroyed a significant percentage of the global population, still wasn't a genocide. It was war. And to that point, this administration, or this regime, is actively engaging in establishing, and expanding genocidal efforts against non-white populations. And we can see that in both the rhetoric, the intent, the dogma, and the EOs, all of it. We can see that the targeting is to displace, remove, and to erase these cultures from our history, from our society. He started removing black military leaders and contributors to science. Same thing with transgender, Latino, and Islamic as well. He's actively doing this within his capacity as quote-unquote commander-in-chief. So, to say that a genocide is also occurring in the United States is actually true. And it's one of the reasons why our human rights rating has started to plummet since January of this year, when this regime began. It looks like you did a government coup in the Oval Office as a revolutionary. I mean, maybe we can manifest it. They always start by taking rights away from the most marginalized communities because they know that the majority doesn't care. And the dude also tried to kill Trump, and they still didn't go after white men who were whatever leaning. White, straight, male veteran. Wait a minute. Even though 60% of the mass shooters are straight white men, and 97% are, no, it was like 99%, were straight men regardless. Why is every platform online so right-wing? Honestly, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that the platforms themselves are governed and led and financed by right-wing ideologies. So take Facebook. It's been co-opted by the government. Take TikTok, which is now owned by Elon Musk, right? Every social media platform is owned by a billionaire, which is intrinsically conservative and right-wing. So the more platforms that exist, the more that the right wing gets to expand its influence. And how is everything policed? What's considered derogatory? Anything against white men. But you call them out for being racist, for using the N-word or this, that, and the other, and it never violates the community standards. But when you tell a white man to go fuck themselves, all of a sudden you're getting banned. So all platforms are intrinsically right-wing. The ones who share their characteristics sounded the OMG, guns will be taken away from law-abiding citizens alarm. Then they actually admit they want to do it to others and say, get on board with being anti-Second Amendment. Well, and that's the thing, that they don't understand the hypocrisy. Because in their eyes, well, actually, I don't think they actually understand the hypocrisy that they are committing. Because to them, their worldview is the truth, no matter how contradictory it is. And so as long as their worldviews are intact, and they aren't being the target of whatever this regime is doing, they feel that they are exonerated of whatever happens to others, because if it happens to an other, then they were asking for it, they did something wrong. Until it happens to them, then all of a sudden they're a victim, right? And that's just the way it is. It doesn't matter what country, what era in human history. That's how it works. Right-wing ideology is flawless and unimpeachable, and everyone else is the scumbag that is violating it. Ukraine was committing ethnic cleansing against the ethnic Russians in the Donbass region for 8 years. They were even banned from speaking Russian. It was ethnic cleansing because they were being targeted due to their ethnicity. But it wasn't genocide because they weren't being killed. Which is, again, why these words matter. Yeah, white supremacy is mainstream, and as it turns out, it has been for quite some time. I mean, I think we've all been a bit ignorant. I mean, my political awakening was in 2013, so I've only been woke since 2013, and even then, I've been evolving since then. I probably haven't been left-leaning since 2017. That's probably when I started becoming left-leaning, and I've only become more left-leaning as the years progressed. Yeah, I did say Twitter, didn't I? I don't ever refer to Twitter as X, unless I said something else. Did I say MySpace or something? I think white supremacists get crazier in countries like the US where they are still the majority, but they're a smaller majority. No, I think white supremacists are the majority now. I think neoliberalism is white supremacy. It's at the very least imperialism and colonization. What does the rulebook even mean if they are treating it like the Bible as atheists? Has it always been this way? In America? Yes. Has it been this obvious? No. And unironically, The Matrix said that the 90s was the peak of human civilization, and quite frankly, that's when everything started going to shit. So after the 90s is when shit started going downhill. Rapidly. Well, they were being killed because it turned into a war. I think 14,000. Well, listen, whether the dude was arguing that Russia is committing genocide against Ukraine, by historical rights, it would have been the other way around, that Ukraine was committing genocide against Russian Ukrainians. So he was wrong regardless, is the main takeaway of all this. But it also matters that the right terminology and the right culprit is being targeted and assessed for their relative crime. I think I went a little too crazy. All right. Right, no, it was absolutely fucking stupid. That there is no question there. All right. All right, let's do this one.
Stefania Acevedo San Francisco is 13 years old. He's struggling with a medical disorder that affects the muscles and joints and relies on therapies provided with the help of the Argentine state. But now Stefania says she's filled with uncertainty because of the impact of Javier Milei's economic austerity plan.
For now, his treatments continue, but we don't know what is going to happen. We are seeing so many people whose benefits were taken. The government says they are an expense, that we are thieves for receiving assistance. Now we see that corruption is not in our homes, but in the government.
And the insane part is that country, Argentina, literally had universal health care. And then they got a fascist in power who is stripping the people of their health care and blaming them for it. Whereas we also used to have universal health care, but then Nixon, surprisingly not Reagan, Nixon made it so that the private insurance industry could have a leg into the game and then completely started dominating it, especially after Reagan. So now we have a fully privatized healthcare system, and we are also still blamed for being sick and taking advantage and greedy and this, that, and the other. So the idea here is that whether you're a neoliberal, a fascist, both, something in between, the goal, the plan, is to always blame the people for using healthcare, which is the one thing people should be using. Of all the things, of all the government agencies, organizations, and social programs that exist, the one thing that people should be using more than anything else is definitely healthcare. It's also the one thing that everybody will have to use regardless. Even if you never go to the dentist, even if you never go to the hospital, eventually you will need to go to both places. So why on earth would you make that a deterrent, or extremely difficult, or extremely expensive? Again, it's because you hate your population, you hate the civilians, and you want to control them and manipulate them. You want to lord over them. You don't want to lead a country. You don't want to govern. You don't even want to administer. You want slaves to do as they are told, and you want to be the one doing the telling, which makes you a despot at best. And again, why? We are in the 21st century, a quarter of the way through the 21st century. Why are we still rehashing 11th century governing styles? Why are we trying to reestablish absolute monarchies, God-ordained emperors? We don't need to deny anyone anything. We have the means, the resources, the funding, the technology, the skills, the science to provide for everyone's health, education, housing, infrastructure, resources, food, clothing, shelter, and utilities, transportation. Like, every country in the world could eradicate poverty by shrugging off neoliberalism. And instead, it is sinking its claws ever deeper into the throats and in the chests of countries and populations globally. Until you get a Milei, or you get a Trump, or you get, a fucking Putin.
Since taking office, the government requested internal audits on people receiving government subsidies and has suspended the benefits of tens of thousands. But now a new accusation has Javier Milei and his sister Karina at the center of a controversy involving the Disabled Services Agency.
Public outrage is growing after a series of audio recordings from a former government officials exposed a corruption scheme involving Javier Milei's sister, Karina, who allegedly received vast amounts of money from kickbacks from the sales from pharmaceutical companies to Argentina's Disabled Services Agency. There's an ongoing...
Right. People who use the services are getting kicked off because they cost too much money? By using it? That would be like your car insurance company dropping you after an accident. Oh, wait! It would be like your health insurance company dropping you because you got cancer. Oh, wait! It would be like your home insurance company dropping you after a flood or a fire. Wait a minute! It's almost as if these things are fucking happening in capitalist society and formerly socialist society. It's insane. And the fact that that man is still alive is crazy too, because aren't the Argentinians pretty quick to revolt too? I thought Latin America was pretty quick to revolution. Just saying. Right, how low can you go against disabled people? And in America, our regime is going against disabled veterans. So, like, how low can you go? I don't know. The surviving children of disabled veterans. How about that? That's pretty fucking low. Or the spouses of disabled veterans. And deporting them, kidnapping, abducting, and fucking trafficking them to another country. How much is it to call the ambulance? Yeah, between $3,000 and $5,000. So Argentinians are more right-wing. See that, but that's the thing. Are the people right-wing, or are they once again deluded into right-wing ideology? Because okay, I read something really awesome recently that stated that human beings are as left-wing and right-wing as the material conditions that they find themselves in, meaning human beings will adapt to alt-right extremism and far left-wing liberalism, meaning, you know, that utopian anarchism that people always talk about, like pure communism, pure socialism, the tree hugging where like nobody's in charge of anything and everybody gets anything that they want as well, like the ultra Star Trek utopian society. People can adapt to either. People can tolerate either. And people will defend either so long as they are within those systems. And they will resist the change of that system because they are used to that system, because they've already adapted to it. So, are people and countries right-wing because of intrinsic cultural whatever reasons? Or are they right-wing because under capitalism, the thing that controls the outcomes of politicians and industry is who holds the most capital? And are capitalists, those who control the capital, intrinsically right-wing because they're sociopathic money-hoarding dragons? I'll let you make whatever conclusions you want from that. But the answer, because there is a right and a wrong answer here, the answer is capitalism breeds right-wing ideology, elevates right-wing psychopaths that hoard gold like dragons do. And fun fact, most of the top 20 billionaires in the world have more wealth than Smough, who had a literal mountain filled with gold, diamonds, and other jewels. Smough's wealth was, I think, like $86 billion. And there are at least 20 billionaires around the world that have more money than that. And at least 5 of them are in America. So, gold hoarding dragons who will slaughter anyone in their path to acquire more gold. Yes, that is right-wing ideology, which means capitalism intrinsically is spreading right-wing ideology to maintain its control, like the parasite that it fucking is. It is using the entire population of Earth as its host, and it is sucking us dry to the brink. And that is what is happening globally right now. And people are being pushed to the brink, are being sucked dry by this parasite called capitalism. And now people are beginning to realize that's exactly what's happening and are pissed about it. In some countries, it's taking longer, such as Argentina and the United States of America. In other countries, it's happening. And in some other countries, people are waking up to it slowly, or they are lulled into a false sense of surety because, well, we have democratic socialism, so it's not going to happen here, except it is happening in Scandinavia as we speak. Anyway, my point in all of this is saying that right-wing ideology is on the rise and is seeping into every facet of society because of the simple fact that it is derived from capitalism, and our entire society and governance structure revolves around capitalism, as does our economic systems, industrial systems, and distribution systems. I hope that wasn't too boring. Maybe the Flammen makes it a bit more interesting to listen to. Let's see. Deluded. Most young people voted for Milei. That's unfortunate. Argentina is so German. If you know, you know. And also descendants of the Mussolini supporting Italians. Damn. Why Argentina, though? Like, of all the places the fascists could have fled to, why Argentina? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. My grandpa went there and met another Dutch family, nice people. He said turned out were the Nazis who fled. Go figure. I think it's impossible to not get fascism with capitalism. Correct. My great-grandparents fled to Argentina after the Spanish Civil War because Franco was going to execute them. Right, but why Argentina? Like, that's what I'm not understanding. If you're a fascist, you flee to Argentina. If you're a revolutionary, you flee to Argentina. Like, my grandparents stayed in Spain, but they had to flee Madrid and lay low in the Castilian countryside. Which is why Ana la Diosa Cordero Sanchez Alvarez Espinosa Cordero Escavez Carvesa Cerveza Una Lejora Al Diente is my chief of staff. Because she's an OG. I think Argentina took refugees while other countries didn't. Fair enough. I'll trust you because you were there.
Investigation right now, but this scandal has already had a huge impact on the government's approval ratings.
I did.
Last
sorry.
week,
I was trying to.
Milei's caravan was attacked with rocks while campaigning in the province of Buenos Aires for local legislative elections. His sister Karina was forced to flee during another appearance. Daniela Rocha is helping to set up a commission to investigate the corruption allegations.
The audios are explicitly by the former head of the National Disability Agency, talking about 500,000, 800,000. There are 2 investigations ongoing, one in Congress and another one by the judiciary.
Milei denies any wrongdoing and says the accusations against him are part of the campaign.
This week's stunt is nothing more than another item in the long list of plots, and like all the previous ones, a new lie.
Gee, who does he fucking sound like? Like, do all of these autocrats go to the same school in delivering speeches and messaging, which is accuse the other party of corruption and spreading lies while you are very obviously doing corrupt shit?
All of the cases, it will be up to the justice system to clarify it.
Right,
and
even
we are
better.
Once again at
He's
its
a Zionist
disposal.
aiding and abetting.
Argentines are used to corruption scandals in the country's institutions, but Javier Milei was elected because of his promise to fight it. This new scandal is happening as the president continues to push for cuts in public spending. But many have lost faith in the president's words. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera,
Because his
Buenos
actions
Aires.
are very contrary to his words. Just like Trump. Trump said he will drain the swamp, he will lock them up, and what does he do? He replaces every cabinet secretary member with one of the most sociopathic people in that industry that he could find. Let's listen to Rubio be an absolute
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on.
So that when we get to the White House and he tries to deny that he was a fascist scumbag or that he was just following orders, we can go ahead and play these clips from the stream or from YouTube and be like, no, motherfucker, you were about that life and now you are going
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Mexico. It was a flying visit, but an important one. Although the big topic had changed overnight, from Mexico-US tension to the US military sinking a boat from Venezuela that it said was carrying drugs. The strike killed 11 people.
What will stop them is when you blow them up, when you get rid of them. So they were designated as what they are narco-terrorist organizations. So the same information and the same intelligence mechanisms with maybe a higher focus was used to determine that a drug boat was headed towards eventually the United States. And instead of...
How? Also, no rules of engagement. And again, maybe it's a good thing I'm wearing the uniform. See these stripes? These stripes mean I was in the military long enough to learn the rules of engagement, the law of armed conflict, the Geneva Conventions, and have a basic understanding of the different articles of the military law. And I can tell you unequivocally that at no point in time is any service member allowed to just unilaterally. You're not. There is no theater of war. There is no theater of war where you are just arbitrarily allowed to engage an enemy unless they are actively, and I do mean actively, engaging with you first. Right? You have to stop them. If they are just walking around like this, you can tell them to put their weapons down and walk away, but you can't just automatically go for it, right? They have to be actively shooting against you or failing to adhere to your commands a certain amount of time. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 5, whatever it is. Okay? You cannot arbitrarily designate a target and execute that target. And any commander that authorized it is guilty of a war crime, of definitely not following the AOR's chain rules of engagement. Sorry, trying to remember all the acronyms right away. And the fact that he is going to go say it's like all you got to do is blow him up. The president ordered it. It's like, no, just because the president ordered it doesn't mean you just fucking go ahead and do it. Right? There has to be a lawful target. It has to be proven. It has to be a designation. Otherwise, what is stopping the military from literally invading every part of the world and every city in our own country? Oh, these are all narco-terrorists. Okay, I guess we're going to roll tanks down Main Street on 5th and Main, and we're just going to go ahead and bomb this known biker bar, this known hideout for the Bloods or the Crips. I don't know too many other gangs out there. I'm just saying, if that's the justification that they were allegedly, because he didn't even say what process was used. He said, well, I think there had to have been some process that verified it, and once we did, we blew him up. Like, no, motherfucker, that's still not how that works. That's still not how that works. Because you didn't even attempt to detain them. And even in a theater of war, right? If escape is imminent, right? Because that's how they justify killing brown people in the Middle East with drones and missile strikes while they're at a wedding or at a birthday party. Is, well, there's a real chance that they could escape, and we don't have the ability to apprehend them because we're using this drone with a bomb on it. Cool. Well, you have 8 vessels and 4,000 Marines, and this boat is trying to flee into international waters, or was in international waters, where the United States doesn't have jurisdiction in the first place, which means any action that they take in international waters is blatantly fucking illegal. And even if that boat was everything that they said it was and more, let's just say they had 11 bags of fentanyl. Let's just say they had enough fentanyl to kill the entire population of Earth 10 times over on that little boat, and there were 11 people on it, and this, that, and the other. Once they're in international waters, it is literally lawless. There is no laws that govern international waters, hence why they're international. And certainly not one country can just arbitrarily, unilaterally engage in a military action. And again, go ahead and fight me, motherfucker. This is real. You're not going to argue with me, and you're most certainly not going to fucking win that argument. Please. Oh, who are you? Some keyboard warrior? Some wannabe military person? I bet you didn't even serve. I fucking served long enough to get these goddamn stripes. So please come at me, because you're a fucking idiot if you do. All of which is to say. Wrong button. So what did he, let's...
In a drug boat, same intelligence mechanisms with maybe terrorist organizations. So the same information and the same intelligence mechanisms with maybe a higher focus was used.
He doesn't even know how the information was gathered.
To determine that a drug boat was headed towards eventually the United States.
You could not possibly determine that. There's no fucking way unless you captured and then interrogated the people in the boat. Otherwise, they could have been just going upstream to Argentina somewhere else, which would have made more sense because, all right, I'll bite. Where's the map? Map of Argentina. Right. Okay. So, Argentina, for those of you who don't know, is a very large country in South America, at the very south of South America, where you would have to travel past Uruguay, Brazil, French Guinea, Venezuela, regular Guinea, and Colombia, past Puerto Rico, Cuba, all of Central America, past Mexico, into the Gulf of Mexico, to then maybe hit Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, or Florida. And unless you went all the way around Brazil, French New Guinea, the other way around Puerto Rico, and then you could maybe make it to Florida and up the northern coast. But there is, I'm just going to throw out there, 5,000 miles of coast that you could stop at long before you get to America. So there is zero fucking determination whatsoever that that little shitty boat would have made it anywhere past Argentinian waters at all, let alone a 5,000 mile journey. So he's full of fucking shit.
And instead of interdicting it on the president's orders, he blew it up. And it'll happen again. Maybe it's happening right now, I don't know. But the point is, the president of the United States is going to wage war on narco-terrorist organizations,
which he doesn't have the authority to do. And the president ordered it. So the president gave an unlawful order and somebody obeyed it. Guess what that means? They're going to Leavenworth, or the Marine equivalent. I don't know what it is for the Marine Corps. But, yeah, they're fucked. The absolute second I'm in office, they are fucked.
What evidence did the US have that the boat was carrying drugs or grounds to blow it up? Reporters asked.
Correct.
If you're on a boat full of cocaine or fentanyl or whatever, headed to the United States, you're an immediate
Where's
threat
the
to
evidence?
the United States. And the president, under his authority as commander-in-chief, has a right, under exigent circumstances, to eliminate imminent threats to the United States. And that's what he did yesterday in international waters, and that's what he intends to do.
There have been questions whether that would stand up in a court of law.
So, the reporter asked, what proof do you have? And Marco Rubio just regurgitated the talking point. There is no proof. And from this CCTV footage, it barely looks like there were even 11 people on this boat.
Including from the president of Colombia, who said on social media, it's a murder anywhere in the world. Mexico had other things on its mind. President Trump has been pushing really, for the country to allow in the US military to help it in its fight.
So this regime is accusing Latin American countries of invading the United States through the cartels and the gangs. And Trump is actively trying to force an invasion down Mexico's throat and Venezuela's throat through military force by literally shipping thousands of soldiers into Venezuelan waters or within spitting distance of Venezuelan waters. And apparently we got shit down in Argentina too. And now he's trying to force it. This motherfucker is trying to establish so many fronts of war, it boggles the imagination. We don't have the capacity to fight the entire southern continent at the same time. We just fucking don't.
Against drug cartels. The Mexican government has said no, that would violate national sovereignty. And the president herself said that they would give Marco Rubio a presentation to show all that Mexico has been doing to fight the cartels and stop drugs getting to the US. Nobody discussed the matter head on, but there was a lot of talk about collaborating but respecting territory in the press conference afterwards, especially from Mexico.
Los gobiernos de México y Estados Unidos.
The governments of Mexico and the United States reaffirm our cooperation on security matters, which is based on the principles of reciprocation, respect for sovereignty, and territorial integrity.
Rubio said all the right things too.
It is the closest security cooperation we have ever had, maybe with any country, but certainly in the history of U.S.-Mexico relations.
But it's not all just sweet words. The US is keen to show that in Latin America, it again carries a big stick.
Yeah, that's literally all America is doing right now with Latin America, is we have this and you have what we want. And you don't have enough of these to stop us. But the problem is, if America continues to overextend itself, sure, we have a lot of these, but in context, we have a lot of these against one country at a time. If we piss off the entire southern continent, we're fucked. We are fucked. And Marco Rubio is out there raising his little mouse fist, trying to stir up controversy and aggression and parroting the party line. Again, it is going to be a very satisfying walk across the gallows for these individuals. Very satisfying to watch. It is going to be a national holiday. It is definitely going to be turned into a national holiday. It might even span weeks because of how many fucking sociopaths are going to need to have gallows erected for them. Okay, so let me catch up on chat here. Is it the same as bombing the aid ship to Gaza? Yes, legally. It is 100% the same thing legally. Yes. It's like WMDs at a smaller scale. No, it's WMDs at the same scale. Iraq has WMDs, so we need to invade the country. Venezuela has cartels, so we need to invade Venezuela. Argentina is aiding and abetting the cartels, so we need to invade Argentina. It's literally, instead of WMDs, it is cartels. It is drugs. It's narco-terrorism. We invaded Iraq with Iraqi cooperation, of course, and for the sole express purpose of attacking the terrorists. But this time around, the countries of the world are like, yeah, we're not falling for that one again. And especially not in South America, where we have been fucking with their governments and their elections since the end of World War II and actually prior to that. So realistically, the cartels and drugs are exactly the WMDs at scale. Not a smaller scale, the same scale. Alpha male teaching. Puerto Rico, Boricua, Morena. You're right, there was plenty of countries that they had to sail past. You're scoring points with the way you pronounce it. Yeah, I'm trying to be authentic. And if it's a language or a culture or a country that I can't pronounce very well, I do my best to learn it. Maybe it's happening right now. Yeah, what a brazen fucking thing to say. The truth doesn't matter because you are not the person on the big microphone. Exactly. And once this microphone has Hassan level numbers on it, trust and believe we are going to be pushing that forward. The Secretary of State doesn't even know what's going on. Correct. The Secretary of State should know exactly how the information was procured, and that should have been the only question that reporters asked him. And in fact, people in America should be asking the same question. Like people in Congress, people like in the Senate, should be demanding answers and literally just grilling this motherfucker for answers. For the even if it has to be behind closed doors, the classified orders or whatever. Like, these are the things that should get people removed and thrown in prison. And it's not happening. Hence why I need to be in Congress yesterday. Proof I am the United States. Yeah, pretty much. How would they know that there were even drugs on the boat if they blew up the boat and instead of detaining it, which was the original plan, the president ordered it to be destroyed, and then they followed those orders? Like, again, the captain in the Navy, or Marines, I think, still, The captain who followed that order is 100% a war criminal, and I think they know it, and I think they're really, really hoping that somebody like me doesn't make it into a place like this, because their head is going to be removed from the position it's currently in. Yeah, exactly. Probably Colombia and Brazil too, because they're all left-wing. The intimidation is only going to increase. Who gives the orders to bomb that ship? Well, according to Rubio, Trump. The truth is that they want to invade countries with left-wing leaders to say that they can steal their resources. The right-wing leaders just give them a way to suck up to the U.S. But it's funny because even Argentina isn't opening the doors to the U.S. military. So, more to see for sure. The left-wing leaders stand up to the U.S., as they should. And if the Latin American countries united against the U.S., it would be pretty devastating. Hello, True Steel. Welcome to the end of the stream. I was recapping everything. The Confederacy planned to invade all of Latin America. Well, fun fact, when we won the Mexico-America War, we could have turned Mexico and all of Central America into the United States, because at the time, Mexico controlled all that territory. But we chose not to, as in the United States of America chose not to, because of racism. They did not want more brown people in the United States to threaten the white supremacy that was in effect. Like, you can't make this shit up. The entire North American continent could, well, minus Canada, could have belonged to the United States of America if it wasn't for racism. Literally. So, all of which is to say, this is the end of the stream. So, oh no, I say it as loud and as proud as I can. So, thank you for coming to the stream. Thank you for joining us this week. I see a few new faces, so welcome, welcome. I hope to see you again Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we'll be discussing Taco Tuesdays, i.e. U.S. politics. And I think, honestly, I'm not going to lie, after today's stream, this feels right. I genuinely feel like I found the right presentation to discuss global and domestic affairs. I think I have found the right presentation. I will fix up some of these screens, obviously, and I will also try to start making some short form content. Hopefully I find the time this weekend. If not, I should be able to start doing it next weekend. I just need to really get out of this creative funk I've been in, I guess. I don't know what it is. I am only human, right? But this feels right. And I hope you guys enjoyed this too. As always, like, share, subscribe, and by that I mean like follow, right? We're on all sorts of different social media platforms. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your coworkers. Twitch.tv/Samuel Ronan. That's who I am. That's who we are. And that is what we are fighting for. So with that, y'all have a great rest of your night. Have a good weekend. And I look forward to seeing y'all Tuesday.